We are live. Been playing a little bit on with the controls on the StreamYard. I can't see how many people's in the room. Okay, I can see it now. All right. So anyway, we'll wait for some people to show up into the live. Do some a little update on the 63 fiberglass boat we bought. I got a little update on that. A little update on the OSB that we did, that we're working on. Let me put this way so you guys can see. And we've been playing with this stuff a little bit. And we'll see how's it going. As you come into the live, if you would just comment something at the bottom so we know you're here. We're going to talk a little bit of gearhead talk this morning. We usually do a lot of gearhead talk. We're going to give an update on the fiberglass boat project. Do a little update on the OSB that we're doing. Let's get rid of this right now. Let's get that out of there. Good morning. Welcome to the live. I'm going to give an update on the fiberglass boat project that we got going on, the OSB Ford F-250 project that we're doing. Let everybody just kind of talk about their hot rods this morning. Talk about whatever. It's just crew, coffee with the crew. We got a bunch that show up here and just a little bit of just garage talk normally in the mornings. We'll hang around and see how many people we get into the... As you come into the room, if you would put down where you're from, we're just going to have some basic automotive garage talk this morning. We'll have a bunch of our usuals that show up here probably show up this morning. I'm going to do an update on a fiberglass boat project that we just took on. We did a little work on it yesterday. A 63 fiberglass boat that was built by Montgomery Wards that we went and picked up for a bargain of a price. And if you would put down in the comments where you're from. We got some merch done finally. Well, this is actually some Susan, a friend of ours, did these for us just to see how they would look on camera. We'll get an idea of what the shirts would look like. Anyway, I'm Go Big. I usually teach automotive repair. I normally talk about how to educate people how to do automotive repair. Hey, everybody, welcome to the live. Everybody just popped in. If you would, in the comments down below, put down there, where you're from, what kind of hot rod you drive, what you're into, import, domestic, Ford, GM, whatever you're into. We usually talk a lot about automotive hot rods, just projects. Right now, just took on a 63 Elgin fiberglass boat that's built by Sears. I just bought one as a project. It doesn't run, so we're going to get it going. I think we're going to be able to make it run. And in the process, I try to teach people basic auto repair. If you don't know anything about automotive, I've been a mechanic for 40 years, so I usually try to teach you as I go. Give you what knowledge I have, and maybe we can teach you or help you along if you got a problem. Or on Wednesday nights, I think we're going to start doing like a question and answer session, so people can log in and say, "Oh man, my car started making this funny noise," or something like that, and they can just bring it to us, and we can discuss it right here. And there's a lot of techs here. We're getting a pretty good group of techs that got 30, 40 years experience. I've been doing this for 40, and I do a lot of electrical and troubleshooting. So on Wednesday nights, we're going to start doing that. We're going to start, as you're coming in, if you would comment down below. We got some products here to show tonight that we get killer deals on. We're going to pass on to the people that are here. We got a great company we just start working with that does LED lighting. It's probably some of the best lighting I've seen in a long time. I do emergency vehicle lighting. I've done that for 20 years. I built police cars for a living. I work part-time, part-year, so I'm just getting ready to go back to work. So I have a lot of experience when it comes to like dealing with lighting. But I found this company And well, when we get everybody in here, we'll share them. But I'll show you one right now. So this is a company. If you look, man, this is a great LED. If you look up in the description, they're like $26 for a pair of two. And I tested them, and man, they're a really good unit. They really are. I scheduled this live today because I wanted to see how it would work out to schedule it. And if we get some locals in here or some normal people that come all the time, if you guys would in the comments put down if you got a notification that the live was coming up or not, that'd be great. Hey, welcome to the lives, everybody. I'm Go Big. I teach automotive. We talk about cars, hot rods, motorcycles. We do a Friday night. We do a trivia where we give away free tools. So if you would put into the comments, where you're from and what you're about. Are you into hot rods? Are you into import, domestic? And we pretty much talk in the mornings like this. Hey, Maggot. Okay, I'm glad you did. I was wondering. So I did a scheduled notification. So I wanted to see if the people that were subscribed would get it. It's kind of a better deal because I can get on there and I can put the links and stuff on there prior, so I don't get messing around while we're trying to do this. So it worked out pretty good. And also we can put the links in the descriptions for the products. So that's pretty good. What do you think of the shirt? Are the letters too big? We had some friends of ours do these for us just as just to see how they work in their long sleeve. It's getting to be winter time. Pretty, but see, these are those like press on, so they're not as high a quality than if you have it, like they call that. There's a type of printing that they do, and it prints it into the. Oh, good deal. I'm glad I think it looks, thanks. See how the hat has that different kind of font on it? We had some done like that too. It's called Saloon font. I think it looks better. So we had some friends of ours do these for us. Thanks, Susan. If you're watching, thank you so much. And so we're gonna these are pretty cheap. I mean, we could offer these really reasonable. Hey, Kendall Hensley, how you doing? Welcome to the live. We're just talking about the merch we had done. We're getting done. We're trying to figure out the shirt and hat thing. But these shirts, the shirts are pretty good quality. But I know that this type of lettering, if you don't turn it inside out, they'll kind of flake off. So you got to turn them inside out when you wash them. But we could offer these like at a good deal, like $25 or something. Pretty good. But I want to get some better quality ones that are like screen printed. These, but you have to make a big order to have screen printing done. DC shirt like that, it was made to look old. Yeah, I didn't think about that. But anyway, so hey, Kendall, I've never seen you before. What are you into? Have you been here before? Remind me. Because I can't keep track here, but I try to, man. My old brain just doesn't retain like it used to. Where are you from, Kendall? Maggot, man, you're funny, dude. Once a year, I think it'll be all right. It'll probably all that sweat and stuff will make it stick on there, and it'll look old. It'll look like you tromped it around in a puddle. This guy, Maggot, he's something, man. Yeah. Anyway, man, I really want to get some traction with these lives. I'm hoping we can retain some people. I don't know what it takes to retain people. Sometimes we get like 30, 40, and then they drop out, so people have a small attention span when it comes to this kind of stuff. And I get it, But I'll give you a little update on the boat. So I got spark to it. I bypassed the points, and I just gave it a ground to see if they would fire, and the coils are firing. So the coils are good. And then I pulled the plugs out, and I put a little bit of oil in there and ran the piston up and down to get some oil in the cylinder, because I know it's been sitting for a while. And so it's got good compression. I didn't put a gauge on it, but I put my finger on there. I could really tell it's got pretty good compression. And so it's got compression, it's got spark. So today it had two different spark plugs in it. One hole had a long reach plug and the other had a short reach plug. And when I seen that, I was thinking, man, they might have damaged that motor. And so if you guys are here, leave a comment so we can get you into the discussion. We like everybody to be involved if you want to be. So anyway, I'm talking about right now, if you've never been here before, I picked up a 63 fiberglass boat, a really good deal on it, super clean. And the engine right now doesn't run, so we're working on getting it going. So anyway, I pulled the plugs out, and it had a long reach and a short reach plug in it. And I was thinking, man, I hope they didn't crank on that thing with that long reach in, because on some motors, if you put in a long reach plug like that, you'll hit the piston. So I rotated around. It didn't feel like it was hitting. So when I looked at the plug, it didn't hit. So I'm in good shape. So anyway, I'm going to get two of the correct spark plugs today. And then I'm going to see if the points will fire them. And if not, I'm going to have to pull that flywheel off and see what the points are looking like. So, you know, that's the thing is, like, once you learn basic ignition system, like I didn't know anything about this boat. I've never worked on one before, but when I pulled it up, I look and there's a coil, you know, there's condenser, there's a set of points, and it's like any other system I've ever worked on. So, you know, I was able to diagnose it, and they had some of the wiring hooked up wrong to the points. It looked like they had the ground side of the points grounded. I'm not for sure yet, but that's what it looked like to me. So it would have never started like that. So anyway, so I just cut everything off, and I put power to the positive side of the coil, and I grounded the other side with the wire just to use myself as the points, and it fired. So it's firing. And they had some kind of odd looking plugs. The ends kind of broke off, so they put a standard plug on there. But anyway, all the wiring, when I unwrapped it, it was all funky, man. They put like a connector and it shoved in there, wrapped with tape. So really not really good connections on the ignition system. In some bikes I don't use, just so the bore isn't open. Yeah, that's a good idea. But man, you got to be careful about those long reach, because some pistons come so close to the top. If you put a long reach in, it'll come up and hit that piston, man. I've seen it happen, and it can damage the piston. So I was a little concerned when I seen that. Hey, for you that just dropped in, if you just would put down, hey, I'm from here or there. We're talking about a boat right now. I picked up. Anyway, we talk about everything here. Hey, Crafts, what's up, brother? Piston slap. Yep. You know, I've seen, so I used to work back in the day where they had a lot of interference fit motors with the timing chains, with the timing belt. And back then, belts used to break a lot, like in the 80s, 90s. The belt technology has gotten better. How you doing, brother? What happened back then is we used to have a book, and it would tell you, customer would call in and say they were driving down the road and it just turned off, and we'd say, probably broke timing belt, what year is it? And you could look it up. And some of those motors, if the timing belt breaks while you're spinning down the road, the piston will come up and hit the valve, and you're done. You got to pull the heads off, do the valves and everything. And belt driven timing. With interference engines. Yeah, they went away though. Now the engines now have a dish out for the valve. So if that in the piston, there's a little cutout. So if that happens, it won't damage the valve, most of them. But you know, that's what happens with those. I've had people do that where they put the wrong plug in and they bring the car in, say, man, it's making all kinds of noise. You pull it out and the plug's all bent over and smashed to crap, and it came up and the piston was just beating on it, you know, so it can cause a lot of damage. Hey, Motor in USA, welcome back, man. I appreciate you guys showing up here like you do. We're trying to get some traction, get some more people into the live. I know sometimes people don't like to sit and just listen to some guy talk, but in the mornings, that's kind of what I think the lives are good for that. You know, they say, I think that with YouTube, if there's something you enjoy doing and it seems fun, you should just lean into it because that's what's gonna, all this creator content that's cookie cutter content is gonna get old after a while. People they want to see new things. Hey, you guys getting ads as you're watching this? Because I see like everybody drops out and then they come back. So I think it's when the ads get put on. Anyway, Motor in USA, welcome to the live, brother. Yeah, there was a lot of those. There was a lot of those interference motors that used to cause a lot of damage when they break the timing belt. You don't see timing belts break anymore. Hardly ever. I mean, just a lot of stuff you don't see anymore. I can remember we used to do a lot of starters. You hardly do starters anymore. Very rarely. I mean, in our fleet that we have, you hardly ever do starters. I used to do 5, 10 a week. And now you really don't do starters anymore. Just better technology. You guys aren't getting ads when you're watching? Because we're monetized. I thought they'd be throwing up ads. Welcome to the live. All of you just popped in. We talk about hot rods, everything automotive. You're welcome to talk about your hot rod or what you're into. We like hearing that here. Anyway, I'll give you guys, I was just telling Maggot, I kind of confirmed on the boat project that it's got compression. It has spark now. And so today I'm going to get some plugs in it and see if I can get some fuel to it. I think I can make this thing run. I'm pretty confident of it anyway. It was stuck in gear too. Like when I got it, it was in neutral and I couldn't get it in forward because I wanted to see what the lower end was doing. So I took the cable off and I popped it in forward and it went right in. And then later I couldn't get it out. It was like, man, it like stuck or something. So I went out there and I just kept messing with it and turning the prop and back and forth. And finally it went. And then I just moved it like 6 or 8 times. I think just the linkage in there is dry. I probably should take that lower end off at some point. I'm going to take the lower end off anyway because I want to replace the impeller on it. But I'm thinking it's not going to be easy to find parts for this thing. Working on a 42 8-in Ford that is draining battery overnight. Hey, I can help you out with that, brother, for sure. I got a lot of experience when it comes to that stuff. A 42 8-in tractor, and when you leave it hooked up, the next day it's dead. Good cleaning should be great. Yeah, I'm thinking pull the carburetors off and just open them up and see what they look like inside. Yeah, I can help you with that if you want some help with it. It's an old tractor though, huh? You could probably just do that with a test light. Easy. Just take one of the cables off. WD-40 soak. In the carburetor? Craft Organics? Carburetor? I've never done that. It's a 6-volt. That's okay, it doesn't matter. So what you can do is just, does it have a fuse panel at all? It's pretty old, it may not even have a fuse panel. I'm talking to Motor in USA, try to help him through what he's doing here if he wants help. So basically what's happening is you got something that's on that's not supposed to be on when the key is off. So what does it have for like accessory? It doesn't have a fuse panel. Okay, no fuse panel. So what you want to do is just take a test light and disconnect the negative side of the battery and hook the clamp on the cable and then put the point on the battery. If there's anything on, the battery will light up, the test light will light up. And then just, clip it on with I like using wooden, you can use anything, pair of vice grips, but you got to be careful. with the tip. I like using close-like pins when it comes to doing those, because they're wood and they won't spark if you touch something with them or whatever. They work good. But anyway, just get your test light hooked up there, and if you have a draw, that light will be on. So just start going through and looking at stuff that could possibly be on. One of the things people overlook a lot of times when it comes to looking for draws, yeah, parasitic little drain. That's exactly what he has. You can see that's about it. Yeah, I'm going to check out. I think the carburetors might survive. We'll see. Because a lot of times boat owners will run the boats dry when they run them, so they don't leave no fuel in them. So it might be okay. We'll see. It's got dual carbs on it because it's dual cylinder. So we'll see what that's all about. But Motor in USA, what you can do is do like I said. And one of the things people always overlook, and I used to overlook with a multimeter. Yeah. There's a lot of ways to check it, but man, for me, it's always been just use an amp meter at the battery or just the test light. It's an old tractor, so 42, he should be able to see anything that's on with a test light. But anyway, you can chase that, down the wires with an amp probe. But I usually just do some basic checks at the beginning. Anything you can get to and disconnect that you think might be on, just undisconnect it and look at the light. If the light goes out, you found your draw. At that point, test light lights up. I have got to that point in the test light. So you got a draw for sure. So anyway, one thing that people forget to look at, and I used to do this, I got bitten by this more than once, and it might be the same situation because you got an old tractor that doesn't have a lot of circuits. You got lighting, maybe a PTO that comes on and off. Old tractor like that, maybe like a heated, maybe a heated choke, maybe, because it's 42. It's not diesel, right? It's gas, I'm thinking. Anyway, you got pretty basic circuits there. The alternator, that's one that'll kick your butt, because the battery, the line from the alternator goes all the way to the battery. It's always connected to the battery. And there's a one-way diode inside an alternator that only lets current go one way. And if that diode burns out, then it allows current to go the other way and it'll drain the battery. Got time. It's a person draw like they start. You could test if it's getting power with it off. For a parasitic drain like the starter with it off. Yeah. Starter or maybe alternator gas engine. Yeah, so pretty basic circuitry. Should be able to find it. Just think about what it is that's on it. If it has lights, you're going to obviously have a light on. You'll see it. And look at your lighting real good, because on a tractor, there's not too many hidden lights. But on cars, a lot of times the one that people miss is glove box, brake light switch that sticks once in a while. You step on a brake and get out and it doesn't disengage. What is the other one? Trunk light on a car. I see that a lot, where people tried to fix it and can't figure it out, and the trunk light's on. There's a wreck from the battery, like the alternator or starter. Yeah. I've never seen a starter do that. Have you seen a starter do that? I've never seen a starter make a draw, because usually you have to engage the solenoid. I guess the solenoid could make a draw. Disconnect that S terminal. But yeah, the starter has a main feed right to the starter on the positive side, but it has to close the solenoid first. Lay down my dyno lesson. Holy crap, dude. Tyler McCorrell, let me read the rest of this. He dumped his dyno last night, dumped the clutch. When the bike bucked, I grabbed a fistful of throttle, no harm, not just some bruised feelings. Yeah, man, gotta be careful, man. I've been lucky. I've never laid down my bike. Laid down. You take a sharp right and dump the clutch. Here's some advice I give guys that are riding. It's been riding or just new riders, and This is how usually people crash on a motorcycle. They go into the corner too hot. They're not going to make the corner. They go outside the corner and hit something. When you get in that situation, get down low. Just get down and hug the ground, because you'll go through it. Unless you hit some gravel or something, you will make it through that corner. But a lot of people, new riders, they try to stay upright in a corner and they're not going to make the corner and they're doing this. Just lay that bike down low and hang on. You'll make it. It'll scare the shit out of you, but you'll make it through that corner, to where if you try to stay upright, and actually you're better off to be down low if you're going to wreck than if you are up like that. Because when you're up like that, you can go off the road, you can hit a rock, you can hit a tree. If you get down really low and you feel like, hey, I'm going to go off the road, just lay it down. Just put it on the ground and slide it. Runs, no front braking. Yeah, for sure, no front braking. And actually no rear braking if you can help it. Because if there's any sand, you shouldn't be braking in a corner. Like I said, you should set yourself up for the corner as it's coming. And then if you make a mistake and you're going too fast, just hang on, man. Get down low and hang on tight. Get close to the ground and counter steer hard. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people don't know what counter steering. I learned counter steering from a guy, and I was just amazed by it. So when you're riding a big cruiser like this, you know, you can just put your hands on the outside of the bars and just push on the bar like that. And it's opposite of what you think. It's weird, man. But man, when it comes to riding like 1,000 miles, that counter steering is nice, because you just sit back and relax and you just kind of push on the bar. Push one way, push the other way. It'll just take you right through the corner. So nice and smooth. Yeah, if you're upright, you go rigid. You're right, man. Yeah, Maggot, you listen to this guy, Maggot. He's done a lot of racing, like motorcycle racing. So he knows what he's talking about. Yeah, hey, I'm glad you didn't get hurt, though, man. That's the important thing. You know? Yeah, but it probably taught you a lesson. You know, every time, I almost died one time, man. That's why I'm telling you the story. I was going through a corner when I was probably 18, 19 years old on a little 350 Enduro, and I almost hit the bridge. And every time I go by that corner now, man, I don't care what I'm driving, I slow down, because I look and I go, I could have died right there. There would be a little flower right there for me, you know, because I almost hit the bridge. I went in the other lane. If somebody else would have come in, they would have hit me head on. I wouldn't be here right now. Yourself from the bike if you can just slide. Yeah. Dirt bikes is leaning and weight transfer. Road racing is counter steer or centrifugals. Yeah, I learned that counter steering. It's relaxing once you learn how to do it. Because when you're on a big, on a highway interstate, and you're going through these big sweeping corners, when you try to steer like this, you're like this, and you do use a lot of your upper body, and it wears you down. When you learn how to counter steer, you can just sit back and go like this and just give a little pressure on this bar, a little pressure on that bar, and go out and try it. Get out on a straightaway and just push on the bar and don't do anything else but just lean a little bit. And man, it really changes how you ride. Counter steering is not for traffic for sure, because it's kind of slower. Well, I guess you could, but it makes me feel uncomfortable how to drift, and you'll learn how to counter steer. Yeah. We didn't have a chance, bro. Grandpa raced Isle of Maine and Norton. We were always in Ireland. That's pretty cool, man. That's cool stories right there. Yeah, I never met my dad. See, I have a weird life. I never met my dad. I never met my grandpa. I was raised by my mom. My mom raised 5 kids on her own. And so we were raised by our mother. But she kept me reeled in, kept me out of trouble. Old beater in the rocks. I'm Oh, I don't know if I told you guys or not, but I got a go-kart frame set up for that little 212 motor. Guy's gonna bring me. I'm gonna trade him some exhaust, Harley exhaust. I sold him the bike and it had aftermarket exhaust on it, so he wants the factory. So I'm gonna trade him his factory exhaust for a mini bike or a go-kart frame. I was on a street road, so I just smacked at some dirt. I found a big pile of leaves and branches. I was in a big road back to the street. Hurt me more than actually hopping off. I'm glad you didn't get hurt, you know. Corner little thing can in the corners, just the littlest little thing in corners can get you in some deep trouble. When I teach young people how to ride, and I see it all the time. I see guys that have been riding forever do this, and I'm like, man, you shouldn't do that. So if you're on a really windy road, out on the highway, like say going through a canyon or something like that, where you're doing really hard S turns, stay off that yellow line. Stay off the line, because what'll happen, people will come around in cars not paying attention. They'll drift over that line and whack you. So when you're doing really tight cornering like that, try to stay off that yellow line. And then in the springtime, when you're getting a lot of rain, and even like in your own rocky areas where you get a lot of rock debris, stay off the right line, stay off the fog line, because that's where all the gravel's at. You'll come around a corner and then you're in the gravel. So, try to stay just, a foot or so off that edge of the fog line. And then on windy roads, stay a foot or so off that yellow line. It'll save your life. Sticky tires in the race bike. You can go really quick in corners. Yeah, that's the way that Nissan was. That Nissan 370 I had really soft compound tires on it. I'm not kidding you. You could go so fast through the corner, it would scare the crap out of you. You would think, how did this thing even stick to the road? I mean, I went through some corners and that thing going. So I have a place where I test drive cop cars at. So I know there's a really sharp corner there, and it's a 45. And you can usually take it at about 80 if you do it right. And I took that. On the cop cars it was about 65, 70, 65, right in there. But I took my Nissan through that corner at 80 just to see if it would do it. It was no problem, but it scared the crap out of me. It was like, man, that was a hard corner, and it held to the corner. And it's just like, if you went off the road right there, it's just like, it's kind of like cattle area. It's real soft out off the road. So if you slid out, you'd be in good shape as long as you didn't go upside down. But anyway. Okay, hey, motoring, let me know what you find. See if we can help you out. Because usually, like I said, that kind of a draw, just look for things that you can disconnect. I can walk you through how to use a amp probe and chase it down the wire. But under that situation, with an old tractor like that, you probably got like 5 circuits to worry about. Go check those out, disconnect them where you can, and see if the light goes out. Just disconnect things that you think could be on. And that's how you easily do it when you have a fuse panel. You just go in there and you pop the fuse out. And you look at the light, and it ain't that one. You go to the next one, you just go through. And then when you follow the fuse, if the light goes out, now you know you're on the circuit that's creating a problem. Then you go searching a little bit heavier. Anyway, good luck on that. Let me know what you find, and let me know if we can help you somehow. That's all for I went from hardly any assistance, computer assisted suspension. Oh, really? Maggot, would you have computer assisted suspension on your bike? Because I know those razors. Yeah, no problem, man. Anytime. Anytime at all. Did you guys try to do the live last night? I was supposed to do a tool giveaway last night, and I wasn't feeling good. I was just like, man, I don't feel good for some reason. So I bailed on you. I was going to do it, and I was like, man, I don't want to have to get up in the middle of the live and go, I got to go. I just wasn't feeling well yesterday for some reason. I don't know. So anyway, tonight we're going to do the live. We'll do the live for the tool giveaway tonight, Snap-on wrench. We sent out the charger that we gave away on the drawing. It went out in the mail, but I haven't seen the guy that won it since then, so I don't know. Joined, but my friend kept. I'm not sure what that is about, Richie. We'll see what your comments go to. I had a Jap race bike that used to weigh me, and the suspension would set itself to my weight. Really? That's something, huh? Well, I know that those like Polaris, the side by sides, all those side by sides now, they got like really crazy computer controlled suspension on them. They can do crazy stuff with the suspension on that. It's so fast, and they got these really long travel shocks on them. They can stiffen them and, you know, and soften them as you're going through the corners and over jumps and stuff. Those things are crazy fast, man. I worked for a guy for a couple days. I don't remember one day, or I think it might have been 2 days. And he had a shop, and that's all he did. He had a rental place that they rented out those side-by-sides. Man, he got some money for that too. It was like crazy, like $300 an hour or some crap. I don't know. It was expensive. But anyway, he used to do like corporate rides. So I went and I was going to wrench for him. Yeah, the swaps for side-by-sides, like what are you talking about? Like different type of motors and stuff? I thought about getting into those side-by-sides because when I was over there, I was putting in high-end stereo systems for him. 50cc road scooters. That'd be fun, huh, Maggot? That's why I'm getting into these little motors, these little 212s, because people can afford to be a part of it. You know, I can teach a lot of stuff, but, you know, when I teach stuff that only a few people can afford to do, it's not really any fun because only certain people can do it. A Busa swapped one on Instagram that sounded crazy. Yeah, you know, I need to get me a side-by-side. Yeah, because they're, you know, I think they're good money to be. If you're wrenching, if you're a young guy, I would totally like start doing side-by-sides and move to like Idaho or somewhere. There's a lot of places that you can drive them on the road. You can't drive them here in California. They won't let you. But like you go to Arizona, you go to Idaho, out in Tennessee, you see people driving their side-by-sides to the store. Going motocross looks quite dangerous. I couldn't imagine a Goldwing. You know what's funny though? Those Goldwings are dirt cheap now. You can pick them up for $500. And a lot of times it's just all this stuff like everything's all cracked on them because they've been set out in the sun, but the motors are in good shape. Those Goldwings have good motors in them. That'd be a good one. Take a Goldwing motor, put it in something like a little Bud or something. I would do it. Would you do it? I'd try for sure, man. Especially if I had a couple of beverages in me. That's crazy. They strip them all down and then try to motocross them. Do they take any weight off them? What do they do? Those things are a beast. I guess you could put a real aggressive like knobby tire on it and try to get some of the weight off of it. Just leave that beast of a motor on there. Here in Texas, not uncommon to see golf carts driving around and track, mostly only nicer neighborhoods. So I have a big golf course by my house, so they use the public roads sometimes. Put the stereo on and go for it. All standard. Really, I've done some crazy stuff on Harleys that we shouldn't be doing. Hill climbing on baggers. You know, you get a bunch of idiots together around a fire, having a couple of beverages, and before you know it, man, somebody says, "Hey, let's try to climb that hill." Okay, whoa. Usually what happens, you spend the whole next weekend trying to fix the bike because you thrashed it. That'd be fun though, huh? I would do it. I would totally do it. It'd be fun to have a little circuit, Gold Wing motocross. I bet that would go really well here in the United States because they're cheap. You can pick, like I said, I've seen them for $100. They're all thrashed and they haven't been ran for a while. But a lot of that stuff, it's like this boat. All you gotta do is take them apart, do a little tinkering on them, you get them run. We used to go to Phillip Island and watch the bike racing 2-day ride. Everyone comes there on cruisers. Man, I bet that's a blast. It sounds like Australia is a good time, man. To me. I've had some fun times here though, too. We used to go Phillip Island. Okay, sorry, I forgot that. I loved a road glide eventually, but my Dyna still feels huge to me. Hey, Tyler, just take your time, man. You'll work your way up to a bigger bike. Once you learn all the, just put some miles on. But you got to remember, those big cruisers are not import bikes. They're not made to like zip through the corners. They do okay on the straightaways out across the desert, something, like that. But, they're not made for that. You don't, they're made just to cruise, man. That's why they call them cruisers. Get yourself in trouble on a big heavy bike in the corner sometimes, And my electric glide, I was going to buy a Dyna, but they're kind of small for me. I'm real long-legged. But I think a Dyna is a good starter bike for sure. They got a lot of power, and power is a good thing when you're, out. It's a good thing when you're out out in traffic, because nothing worse than an underpowered bike. That's like a dead man. You want to be on something, you want to keep your eyes on your mirrors, and some crazy broad putting her lipstick. I shouldn't say broad. Sorry about that, women. I don't mean to say that. You get some hate mail if you start doing that. But you get somebody not paying attention on their phone or something, and you see in your mirror they're not going to stop. On a bike with some power, you can get out of the way. You get some little underpowered thing, man, you're a dead duck. Gold Wing race on a motocross track. Yeah, that's what he was talking about. You'll get used to the size. After a while, it just feels natural. The weather is good. Indian had a hill climber called Skunk. It made that much horsepower. They had external braces over the heads. Really? I know they do some, you guys ever watch any what they call trials riding? They're real long frame bikes, and they climb like rocks, and they go over like trees and all kinds of crazy stuff. All I've ridden for were friends' sports bikes. They have very little power down low, but on the Dyna, you have all the power all the time. I just got to get used to it, but I love it. Yeah. That Dyna now, has it got an Evo motor in it? Because some of the Dynas the early Dynas had an Evolution motor in it. What year is it? Maggot. That's so true, man. That's so true. I've dealt with people here recently in the last couple of years, and I have to look at my girl and go, hey, was that a guy or a dude? Or a guy or a woman? I can't tell. And she's, no, it was this or that. I'm like, I can't tell. Sometimes I'm looking at them and going, I'm not sure. I'm glad I'm not running around the bars now and trying to find a girlfriend. I'll be in trouble. It's a twin cam, 103. Tyler, I thought you were on a Dyna. Oh, it is. That's a lot of horsepower for that bike, man. You can get yourself in trouble on that thing. Stay out of the throttle. Stay out of the throttle unless you're on a straightaway for a while until you get used to it. 103 is a lot of power, man. But I'll give you some info on those twin cams, though. Yep. I'll tell you, yeah, a lot of the Harleys after 2000 came with the twin cam. I think 99 was the last year of the evolution. But let me tell you, let me give you some information on the twin cam. If you haven't done it yet and you're starting to get some miles on that bike, look at the tensioner. Tensioners go away. It's really common. Tensioners go away, everything starts flopping around in there, and causes some real damage. So it's something to think about. I'm thinking what I heard was around 30, you need to be changing that tensioner out. And they got some updated tensioners now for them. That's one of the biggest complaints people had about those, was the tensioners are really not good. They're not a good setup. Street Bob, stage 2, second gear, tire fry at speeds. Yeah, there's a lot of power in those bikes now. I see them all the time. So they ratchet up and tighten themselves and they'll stay tight. And yeah, they have problems. Yep, they do. That's the problem with the twin cam. And you know what? I've had this evolution for so long, and I've had absolutely zero problems with it. And it has all the power I need. You know, it's 80 cubic inches, and it's pumped up a little bit. It's got an Anders cam in it and Thunder header, and I can't outrun the guys on the new bikes, but man, I can give them a run for their money, especially from a stop sign. So but that's a nice bike. You know, everybody has their own thing. You know, some people like the newer bikes. I don't care for them because I have to take them to the dealer when they break. And I don't like that. I don't like having to pay somebody else to work on my bike. I'd rather do my own. But, you know, if you can afford it, man, and you don't have the time to do it, why not? You know, they're nice. Just all electronics on them now just turns me off because, you know, like when you do, like, let's say on your bike, you decided, let's say you got it bone stock and you wanted to take it to a stage 3. Every time you take it in, you got to take it to the dealer and have them map the computer again. So every little thing you do, you got to take it to the dealer and have them hook a scanner to it. I just think they designed it that way to get all these people back into the shops where they got to pay money to have it worked on. So like my bike, man, if it breaks down, it'd have to be a major breakdown to keep me stranded on the side of the road. It'd have to be like a total, like a axle failure, or the transmission locked up, or the engine threw a piston, something like that. Most of the stuff, I can fix it on the side of the road. Said he rode a 01 Electroglide. He's a tiny guy too. I almost didn't believe him until he pulled pictures out. And sure enough, he was riding almost all year. Yeah, you can ride those big bikes as a small guy. Sure. Yes, I'll tell you the best way to teach yourself how to be a good rider. Go in a parking lot and do slow maneuver turns. That's when it's the hardest. It's easy to ride a bike at 60 because the bike wants to stand up. You could let go of the bars and it'll go straight because it wants the gyros. The gyros of the wheels will keep you in an upright position. That's why you see people that fell off a bike before and the bike just keeps going because it wants to stay up straight. Usually when people drop their bikes is when they're putting around in a parking lot and trying to make a real sharp turn. So best practice you can do is real tight left and right hand turns going real slow, like creeping, you know, going like 2 miles an hour. That'll teach you so much about how to be a good rider. Because that's when you know a guy can ride, is when he pulls into a park. You see guys walk in the parking lot and they're all over the place. It's because they've lost the stability of the speed. The speed is what makes the bike easier to ride. But when you slow down, like if you get you're riding 2 up and you got a girl on the back and you start doing that real slow stuff, if you don't have a girl on the back that knows what she's doing, you'll dump that thing. I had somebody one time on the back of my bike. I was sitting at a stoplight and she was on the back and she reached over and started tying her shoe. She's hanging off the bike like this. And all of a sudden I'm just like, what the man? I'm like this. I look back and she's like leaned over trying to tie her shoe. I said, man, you can't do that. I'm holding you up here. You can't bend over. You got to stay upright, especially when we're going slow. We're going slow. You do what I do. You don't do anything I'm not doing. You know, she's like, I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm about to drop this bike just now. You got, 200 pounds hanging off the side of the bike, and I'm trying to hold it with the bars. You got to explain that to people when they get on your bike and they don't know how to ride. Say, look, I say, just stay upright and don't do anything I'm not doing. If I'm going through the corner, you don't have to lean. Just go with me. Whatever I'm doing, you just keep doing what I'm doing. And you get these people on the back that want to bang you with their helmet. That drives me crazy. It's like, man, don't hit my helmet. Just lean back a little bit. You're not going nowhere. On a sidecar at the speedway going round on round. I didn't like it. I heard on sidecars, what is the deal? Okay, on sidecars, that's because remember we were talking about the Urals? Because I was thinking about getting one. And I did some reading on sidecar riding. And they say sidecar, when you accelerate, it'll pull you one way. And then when you decelerate, it pulls you the other. So it makes you have, like when you go into a corner, you have to, I don't remember if you have to accelerate or decelerate, because you can pull yourself one way or the other with the throttle. A little more time on clutch control would have saved me last night for sure. I've almost dropped it, letting go of the clutch, trying to park, still in first gear, stalled, but I caught it. Yeah, that's pretty common, man. It just takes, how long you been riding? And there's nothing wrong if you're a new rider. That's great. Just, comes with experience after you've been doing it for a while. Especially a big bike. It's different. When you get off a little 300-pound motorcycle and get on one that weighs 800 plus, it's a different machine, man. Okay, that's why. You'll get used to it. Like I said, probably the best thing you can do for yourself, I think, just get a couple cones, go somewhere where there's no one around, and practice just going around those cones real slow. Go down to the other one, make a left-hand turn, go down to the other one, make a right-hand turn. And when my wife first started riding, I made her do 300 miles in our cul-de-sac before I let her out on the road. Because you should be able to do everything on your bike without looking at it. I'll tell you a story. It's kind of sad, but it'll bring it to, it'll make you think about it. So I had a guy that I worked with. He was a cop, and he rode. He was a rider. He was a big-time rider, and his wife started riding. So they were, and she was a new rider, and they were going down this road where I live, and she was behind him. And let me tell you something about new riders. The best thing to do is always have the new riders right up front. Because new riders, what they'll do is, like, let's say you're in a group of 10 people and they're all experienced riders, they're ripping through the corners, they're getting on it. And what happens is the new riders try to keep up. And then they go faster than they're capable of riding, Hang on a second, guys. I got to answer this. Sorry. I'll finish up. This is my girl. Make sure nothing's wrong. Hey, girl. Yeah, hang on. Let me put you on the speaker. I got you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm on live. I'm on live. That's okay. What's up?
Oh, I was just wondering, do we have flour enough flour for pretzels?
Let me go check real quick. Hang on, guys. I'll be right back. I'll finish that story about that. Let me go check. I think we do. I was thinking we had like a half a thing.
I was thinking we were low.
Let me look. Where you at right now? Sorry, boys. When the girl calls on the phone, you better answer. I learned that the hard way. Get myself in trouble. All right. So anyway, this guy, his wife had just started riding, and she didn't have a lot of experience. And he was riding ahead of her. And what happens, like I said, on when you got new riders, is they try to keep up with the new riders, and then they go too fast and they spit out in a corner and get in a wreck. So it's best to put the new riders in the front. It's a good look. So it's best to put the new riders up front and let them ride up front. That way they don't override. And I tell people, new riders, ride your ride. Don't ride what everybody else is doing. Ride what you're comfortable doing, even if you fall back, because you'll catch up eventually. You don't need to be in a big hurry, you know, because you could lose your life doing this. So you want to be careful. And so anyway, she was a new rider and she didn't have a lot of experience. And he was riding ahead of her, and he heard something behind him. He heard it. And he goes, oh, geez, what was that? So he turns around, and she was going through her corner, man, and she was looking down at her feet, trying to mess with her gears, and she went over in the other lane. She hit a tow truck head on, killed her instantly. And that's why I tell people, like, you know, I'm telling this guy, Tyler, you know, you don't want to ever have to look down to figure out what you're doing. So if you have to look down or try to look at stuff as you're doing it, you're not ready to go out on the road. You should be able to operate all your controls, your clutch, your brake, your back brake, your gears, and all that without looking. Look straight ahead. And because what can happen is, and when you're riding, you know, you have a tendency to look at stuff, you know. Your natural tendency when you're on a bike is when you look away, you'll go that way. So like, let's say you're ripping through the canyon and you see something, you're like, oh, what was that? You could be over there in the gravel in about a half a second. So be mindful of where your head is, because where your head is where you're going. So put your eyesight in where you want to be going. Don't be looking like this, you know, as you're riding, because you could end up in a bad situation. So there's just some tips I give guys, you know. There's here's another good tip for a new rider. When you pull up to a light, most people get killed at a light or a stop sign. Somebody comes and runs over the back of you. They don't see you and they run you over. You know, so every time you pull up to a light, leave yourself 3 bike lengths at least between the car in front of you and you. Don't be pulling up right behind the next car. I see people all the time. They pull up behind the next car. There's a foot between the front wheel and the car. If some guy comes barreling in a 350 diesel pickup and he doesn't stop, guess what? You're dead. So give yourself that length. So when you pull up to a stop sign, you should be in gear, first gear, make sure you're in gear, clutch in, and looking in your mirrors every time. Because what that does, by leaving yourself some length between the car in front of you, if you look in the mirror and you see, hey, that guy's not going to stop, you can turn and go around that car and get alongside of him and let him hit that car instead of making you into a sandwich. And I've saved my life twice doing that. Or a lady wasn't going to stop. I moved and booked. She hit the car in front of me. And if I would have been giving myself that length, I would have been in between those 2 cars. You know, so it's just little things like that keep you alive. Okay, we'll go on to something else, something more exciting. But, you know, get a couple cones. Go out and just keep driving around until you don't have to look at stuff and you know your bike really well. Where the horn's at, how to operate the turn signals if you use them, you know, how to shift the gears, use a brake, you know, all that stuff. Where it becomes, you should be able to be blindfolded and be able to do all that. Because there's times you will be blind. You go through, like one time I think I was in Colorado, and I come ripping around a corner, and I went through a tunnel. It had no lights in it. I just came out of the bright sunlight, and it was like driving like I couldn't see. And I was like, man, I'm glad I know I could kind of see where the middle of the road was. That was about it. You don't have to die. You can't beat death, but you can beat death in life. Yeah, for sure. want to stay here as long as we can so we can go out and have them fun rides and talk about them. Just little things that can keep your, keep your chances of survival up, I always say, if something was to happen to me on my bike, I'm okay with that, man. I went with a smile on my face. And I truly mean that when I say that. Because I see so many people not living because they're so afraid of dying. You're going to die anyway. We're not immortal, man. You might as well have some fun. And if you die in the process, well, you know what? It's probably meant to be. You don't have to die. Anyway, there's my spiel on motorcycle riding. I got a lot. I actually should teach a smile in my face and some ruined, a smile in my face and some ruined britches. Yeah. Yeah, they call that road rash, brother. I've been lucky. I've never been, I should knock on wood, man. I've never been down on my bike. And I put a lot of miles out on the road, man. I mean a lot. My first bike, I put 30,000 miles on it. And then the one I have, I must have 50 on that. So I'm guessing I'm pushing 100,000 miles riding. And no indicators, no mirrors. I knew where everything was. Yeah. You got to know. And the other thing I tell people is think about where you're going. Like when you're sitting in especially if you got somebody you really care about on the back. I know being yourself is one thing. Let's say you got your daughter on the back or your wife or, whoever, somebody you really care about. You don't want to see something happen to them. So think about where you're going to go. So when you're sitting in traffic, think about, man, if somebody comes sliding up here, where am I going? And keep that in mind. Have a plan, an exit plan. Even if it means go up on the curb, even if it means that you wreck trying to get out of the way, it's okay. It's better than being underneath some of these wheels, So have a plan of exit. Have an exit plan for sure. When you're sitting there, it's foggy day or whatever. You shouldn't be out riding in the fog anyway. But, if you're in a situation where you think this is dangerous, think about, okay, where can I go? If it means going into the medium on the highway, do that. You just want to get out of whatever's going on from running you over like a little frog on the road. For sure. I've taught a lot of people how to ride over the years, and I'm pretty stickler about it. I don't mess around. It's like you got to learn. My wife was wanting to ride, and I said, you ain't going past that stop sign until you know what you're doing. And I did. She did 300 miles on that bike, back and forth on our street, man. Through the cones, right hand, left hand corners, real slow creeping through the gears, learning how to pass, gearing down, up and down. And our neighbors thought we were crazy probably, but I was like, when she was ready, I said, okay, you're ready, man. Let's go. We went for a nice big long ride, 4-hour ride over to the coast and back. And she was an exceptional rider. She could outride me on that little Honda. I remember one time we were going down the road and it was too cold to be riding. And we left on a trip and it was like May. And May's not real cold, but around here, if you go up in the mountains, it gets cold, man. And we headed to the mountains and we were about 40 miles where we were going. We were frozen, man. And I was slow. I had slowed down because I knew I was so cold. I couldn't react. I was shivering. And we stopped and she goes, why are you going so slow? And I said, you know what? Get on this freaking bike, okay, and ride it for 5 miles and you'll know why I'm going so slow. This ain't a 400-pound bike, man. This is a beast. You got to work it through the corners. You can't just sit back and have a smoke and enjoy your day. It's like, it takes a lot of work. But she got to be the point that she was such a good rider. I was going too slow for her. But she became an exceptional rider. But, she had to learn it first. We allow 2-lane split here now. I only do it at the traffic lights to get away from everyone. Yeah, I do that too. I don't do it Yeah, there's some good women riders. Actually, my wife, she took her motorcycle license on that 750. And when she got done, the guy said, "You know what? You're the first person I ever seen pass this on a 750." She goes, "Usually guys come in here with a little 125 or something." And I took it on her 750, but I passed. But it wasn't easy. It was pretty tight. Um, yeah, when it comes to lane splitting, I try to do it like when I'm coming up. I'll do it when I'm coming up to like a stop sign, or not a stop sign, a stoplight where there's a lot of traffic. I'll pull up to the front and then I'll get ahead of all the traffic. And people hate that. A lot of people don't realize that's legal. They think you're being a jerk by doing it, but it's legal to do. You just have to stay between the car and the left side lane. You're not supposed to do that on the right side, and people do it, but it's not legal to do that. But I'll do it, especially like if I'm coming out of a concert or something and there's like a million people, I'll rip up to the front and go because we're able to do that. So it's the law says we can, but you better pay attention if there's cops around. If you go outside the lane a little bit, they'll nail you. They'll watch you for it too. I had a cop come up on me as I was lane splitting, got behind me. And I was like, I'm not doing nothing illegal. As long as I don't go cross that line and there's enough room between that line and the car, I can do that. But they get a lot of people that lane split between cars and, just go along the right side, just don't care. Just play, just doing whatever they want to do. And it's dangerous for the rider and it's dangerous for other people. I've seen import bikes lane split and actually hit people, like go through their back window at 100, kill people with their bike, So yeah, when you're in traffic, you got to think about somebody beside yourself. There's other people out there. They got kids in their cars. You want to be a jerk. It's one thing, but when you got little kids that you're putting their lives at risk. And when you get a father that really cares about his children, man, he'll come out of that car and beat you over the head. For sure. So what are you guys doing today? I have to get my butt moving today. I cook a lot, so I told my neighbor I was going to make her pretzels. So Betsy, that's why she was hitting me up on the phone. She was asking me if I had flour, because I've been talking about making pretzels for her and I haven't done it. But today, update on the IDI, the OSB project. I went out there yesterday. I got a little fuel leak on it. And I knew I had a power steering leak, a little dripper. Hey, April, how you doing? Welcome to the live. We're just a bunch of old dudes sitting here talking the gearhead talk. Where are you from? Anyway, I went out there and I changed well, there you go. Happy birthday, Tyler. He left you a present. CT, Connecticut, is that right? Am I saying that right? I'm not uneducated sometimes. Connecticut, I think. So anyway, the Ford F-250, the 7.3 project we're doing is it has a fuel leak and it was dribbling. Like when I moved it, I left a big old dribble down the driveway. And I was like, God, I gotta fix that. That's ridiculous. I parked over by my neighbor's house. I left a big mess. I had to go over there and steam clean it. And it was, you don't leave that kind of stuff in your neighbor's driveway. So anyway, it had a little dribble. Welcome to the live. It had a little, have you been here before? Remind me if you have. It had a little dribble. And so I got in there and I cleaned it up real good and I fired it and it just looked fine. I was like, oh, something's like accumulating. It's getting a puddle up somewhere. So I fixed the power steering leak because I knew I had a hole that it had a little pinhole in it. So I went down and got some power steering line and fixed that. Not power steering, transmission cooler line. So I fixed that yesterday. And then when I got done, I fired it up and man, it was dripping underneath. I was like, dang it, that thing's got some kind of little leak. So I thought initially, and that's what it is. I thought it was on the 7.3s, they got lines in between each injector and they got these little caps, they call them top hats, and they got an O-ring in there and they'll dry up and leak. And I pretty much knew that's where it was coming from. but I wanted to confirm it before I ripped that all apart. And when I started it, it didn't act like anything. But after it set for a little bit, it was like almost not under pressure, but just static, line pressure, and it's leaking. So today I need to get out there and just go ahead and tear all the lines off and change all the top hats on that upper piece, and then I got rid of that fuel leak because it's kind of been holding me up. I want to get that because I hate driving. I hate backing stuff up and it dripping all over the driveway. So I need to get that done today. But I want to go back to my boat. I'd rather work on that boat than that IDI. But I want to get the IDI done so I can get it out of the way, so I can get the boat up in the driveway. Because right now the boat's out in the driveway. Man, I'm afraid somebody's gonna pull up and just put it on the ball and take it. Yeah. What's the weather like now? Right now, April? In Connecticut, getting cold. It's just now getting to be wintertime here, barely. It's like 60 today. That's winter in California. It's getting close to the 50s at night. Not too cold. Good. I've never been in Connecticut. I've been a lot of places, but that's not one of them. Do you like it there, Connecticut? Yeah, a lot of people say that around here. They like it when fall comes. And I'm like, I hate it. I'm a warm weather guy, man. I'm like a lizard. I want to be warm. But yeah, 58, that's pretty good. How old are you? It's hard to tell by your picture. I got to be careful because I'm going to get some pretty young people in here. I want to be careful. And you're welcome here. I'm just curious. I live in the woods. You're 38. Good deal. I'm an old guy. I'm 6. Maggot, he's old too. I'm 61. I just turned 61. I don't feel old though. I feel young. I felt old yesterday. I didn't do my live. Hey, if you haven't been here before on Friday nights, normally we're supposed to do it last night. We do automotive trivia, and I do some really easy questions for people that don't know much, and then really hard questions for people that do. And then if you get a question right, you get to spin the wheel. And then when you spin the wheel, you spin for some artwork that I do. And then if at the end of the live, everybody that got a question right, they get to be on the wheel, and we spin for a brand new tool. Or not brand new tool. This time we did though. We gave away a really nice 1-amp battery charger. Dig a hole near the driveway, fill it with concrete, put a chain in there a bit, leave about a meter of chain out to lock trailers too. That's a good idea, Maggot. That's why I like you coming here. I learn a lot of stuff from you. I didn't think about that. Just make a hole with some concrete with a chain. That's a good idea. I got a really heavy duty steel pole that you'd laugh at me if you seen what I did with my pole. When I had my Nissan 370, we used to go out of town a lot, and I'd have to leave that car behind. I was afraid somebody was going to steal it. I'm like, somebody will steal that thing. They'll pull up here with a trailer and just load it up and be gone. And so I got a driveway. So I got poles, with a really like a castle gate on it, man. I made it out of 2x6 and it's heavy duty. But I wanted to put the poles in where you couldn't pull them down, because I know how people do that. They just take a chain, they wrap around the top, and they pull the gate down, they go in. So what I did, I poured, you're going to laugh. I put 36 bags of concrete in 2 holes. I made a concrete thing that was 2 foot by 2 foot by 4 foot in the ground. A block of concrete, 2 by 2 by 4. And I put that pole in the middle of it. And I was like, ain't no way nobody's going to pull this thing down. It ain't going to happen. They'd have to cut it down. So, but yeah, I need to do that. I didn't think about it. That'd be a good one. I should just get, just take a welder and weld a piece of chain onto that pole where I could lock stuff up in the driveway. That's smart. Or like you said, you do some concrete. But you know what I did? I ended up having to move that thing because I bought a motorhome and I built the gate before I bought the motorhome. When I bought the motorhome, I got it home. I couldn't get it in the driveway. So I had to cut the pole off and move the gate over. So that piece is still down in there, hooked to like a 2 foot by 2 foot by 4 foot piece of concrete. I had to dig down in there and weld a chain to that. And then there was no way anyone would ever pull that thing out. No way. Tyler, I'm 24, according to some of my coworkers. I'm old because I talked about using VHS tapes once. Yeah, we were talking about that the other day, me and Betsy, and I was like, man, we are old. I said, do you remember? I remember watching, do you guys remember the Little Rascals? I used to run home from school to watch the Little Rascals. And now I think about it, it was still in black and white. We were right at that cusp of, there was still black and white TV around. My grandkids, the first time they said that, they called it gray TV. Papa, what's gray TV? Like, that's before color. What are you talking about? I got a square of concrete in the middle of the driveway. I put the pole in there and pulled it out before it dried. It's all removable Ballard now. I know I did overkill on that thing because I have two, man. I put, like I said, I think and I did this by hand, man. I mixed the concrete in a wheelbarrow, one bag at a time, and I did 38 bags on those two poles. So if I ever want to put like a overhead or something in, those things ain't going nowhere, man. Like I said, it's 2 foot wide, 2 foot, and 4 feet down. So they're in there. I dug that hole by hand with a digging bar and a pulse hole digger. I used to be a beast, man. Yeah, you know what? I'm pretty fortunate that I'm pretty active for my age. I mean, I see people my age, they act like they're 80. I work around guys that are in their 20s, and I work circles around them. I'm like, you guys, a couple of guys said, man, you look young for your age, and you do this and that. And I said, but my beard shows my age, you know, and my bald head. Take this off, I look old. I usually wear a hat. And but I say, you know, I'm pretty lucky I tell the guys at work, I said, man, when I was 25, you wouldn't even get near me, man. I was a beast. You know, I used to do, yep, I believe it, Maggot. I'm the same way. My son-in-laws, you can't get them off their phone long enough to do anything. My one son-in-law, he's not a phone guy, but he likes to keep his hair nice and pretty and stuff. So, and then my other son-in-law, he likes the telephone. I've almost destroyed that a few times. One time we were doing something, I told him, I didn't say it nicely either. I said, hey, do something with that phone. I said, we're working here and let's get it done. And he started giggling. And my daughter looks at him and goes, hey, my dad's not playing. Okay. He'll turn that thing into little pieces. Yeah. So nowadays it's hard. I don't know. It's just a different mentality. Nobody has any ambition anymore. They don't have any like drive when it comes to getting things done. You know, most time I tell them, get out of the way, man. I don't get this done. I don't want to be here all freaking day. You know, they just don't have that. They've never been, I don't think a lot of young kids have been taught how to be ambitious and just put your head down and just go, man. Quit worrying about that your back hurts and your fingers hurt and that you haven't talked on social media in the last hour. Just put your head down and go hard. People don't know how to do it anymore. It should come easy, and when it doesn't, they'll complain. Yeah, that's exactly right. Nobody wants to put in any effort. You know, I get tired of helping people that don't want to do the work. You know, I'm not coming over here so you can stand there and watch me work. I got other stuff to do. Sorry. Trying to be careful with my language on these lives. I don't want to get banned by YouTube. They got all this, like, they're using AI just like everybody else. So they know every little thing you do and say, everything they can see, everything that you do on your lives they know about. Tyler, I feel the same way. I don't know how that's going to go, man. I think our society has gotten to the point that, what's going to happen when I think about what would ever happen if the internet went down. I know that's like, conspiracy theory, but really, I mean, look what happened during COVID, man. That's one of the things that's more broken than anything that people don't see. Our food system is broken. If you don't know how to grow food or how to harvest food and something happens, if you think the government's going to keep you alive, you are so mistaken. Because you already seen what happened during COVID. It was getting to the point here where you go to the store and there was no food. And I told my girl, I said, you see what's happening? People don't know how to grow food and nobody's prepared. When you go to the store, when this truck stop rolling, there's no food in the stores. And that we already seen that. Our food system is the most broken system that we have. If something happened with our system, so many people would starve to death, because if you cut off their food supply and the government would be rationing food, can you imagine what that would look like in this country? People stand in line to get food. Me in my dressing gown with a Japanese fighter pilot leather helmet on. Oh, hey, William Cox. Are you the guy that won? I was thinking you were. Were you the guy that won the Charger? Maybe it wasn't. Man. I'm getting 2 more sheep. So I got 8,000 liters of. Okay, you're not. It sounded familiar. We had a guy that won a Charger on our live that I was going to tell him I got it in the mail. It's on the way. We do lives on Friday nights, and then we do automotive trivia. And if you get the questions right, you go on a wheel and we spin the wheel, and then somebody wins a free tool. We just gave away a no-code Genius 1 amp battery charger last week. Now, I was supposed to have a live last night, but I wasn't feeling well. So I rescheduled it for tonight. We're going to have a live tonight. I don't know if I have it right here. I don't think I have it right here. I'm giving away a snap-on wrench tonight on the live. So if you win at the end, you're going to get it's not a brand new one. I picked it up used, but even at used, that's like a $50 wrench, $50 wrench. So anyway, but it's 11/16 snap-on wrench. That's what we're going to give away on the live tonight. So anyway, you can win other stuff too. Here, I'll show you. Maggot already won one. I got to figure out how. He lives so dang far away. I'm trying to figure out how I can do that. I don't even know if this artwork's worth that much money, Maggot. So this is the artwork we give away. So if you spin and win on a question, you win one of these, and we ship it to you free of charge. If you don't live like in halfway across the country, like Maggot. I haven't forgot about it, little brother. I'm going to figure out a way to do that. And then at the end, you win this. We'd spin a wheel and there's one little slice. If you land on Go Big Garage, you win this. A lot of times people don't win. It's kind of like you got to land on a certain spot. And then at the end, though, somebody will win the tool. Everybody goes on the wheel that got a question right, and then we spin it, and then if it lands on you, you win the tool. And last week, I don't think I have a box here. Anyway, hey, before you guys leave, if you would, go to one of these links that's in the description and just click on them and look at them. You don't have to buy nothing if you don't see nothing you want. Let me push my product real quick. See these? Killer deal, man. Good quality aluminum house, really good LED, crazy bright. And I got a good deal with the company because I'm part of Amazon affiliates. We get these. You can get a set of these for $26 right now. So if you have Prime, these are $26 shipped. You can't buy something like that where those crappy little ones you get Harbor Freight. And these things are blazingly bright. These are a killer deal. I'm not kidding you. And I'm not just pushing it because I make 5% on it. I'm pushing it because I checked them out. They're really nice. They're really nice. They're all aluminum. And they're They have nice stainless steel hardware on them. So the link's right here. I don't know if you can click on that. You can probably copy and paste that. But the other thing is, if you go to the descriptions before you leave, I put two types of gear on there. They're called frog togs. One is super cheap, like they're half price right now, which you are never seen half price. They're usually $70. They're on sale for $35, but they're the best. And I'm not pushing it because of that. I use them. And when I go riding, I always keep a pair of frog togs on me when I'm riding when it's going to rain. Best weather gear I've ever used. Best, the best. I've rode 100 miles in those things. You take them off and you're bone dry, and they don't sweat. So they have two of them. They have a really cheap one that's on half price right now for $35, but the other one's like 100 and something bucks. But it's more like outdoorsy kind of thing. Anyway, if you guys would, before you leave, just go check on those. Oh, let me share I want to share this with you real quick. Let me see if it'll let me. I was going to do that today. I was going to, let's see if I can share my screen. So I was playing with these controls, and I'm going to do like, it's kind of cool. We can bring stuff up now. See how we can do that? So we can bring stuff up on screen. That's pretty cool. I think it is. Anyway, put that down where you can see me. Well, when we start talking about stuff, I was thinking about I could do like a diagram, like when I'm talking about coils and, do an ignition, and I can walk you guys through, I could do a diagram and teach with it. So we can walk, show you, teach you how to test stuff, as like a class kind of thing. You just run the headlight between Tyler. It works on a bike. I seen you had a kit for it, but it's nearly there. $700 if you want the headlight that comes with it. You actually could. And these things are crazy bright. I think if you turn one on when you found a cop around anywhere, he'd pull you over, because man, these things are like aircraft lights. I thought about putting one on my electric glide, just because like when you ride out like across, when you're out in the middle of nowhere, like going across the desert, I hate riding at night, because animals, man, they're a risk. You hit an animal going 70, man, you're going to the hospital. And but yeah, you absolutely could. And they don't draw hardly nothing. You'd probably have to put a little bracket across there, because let me show you what they have a really nice setup on. Like, see right here on the it has a slider right here, and it comes with these, and it's all aluminum and stainless, which is pretty amazing. So this is how they mount. Let's see, how can you see that? This is how they mount. Single hole, and this mounts to the light, so you can rotate the light, like you can directional it if you want to point down or up, which would be nice on a bike, because you can rotate it down so it points down on the road instead of out straight. A lot of these lights, you mount them, they're just wherever they're at. And what they're actually made for is for four-wheel drives, for like a four-wheel drive light, like a off-road vehicle for four-wheeling. And you can stack them side by side, like you can stack them like this, or you can stack them like this. I got a little mini bike project, and I'm going to put two of them side by side like that. And they're super low wattage. So they don't hardly draw any current at all. They're crazy. I'm telling you, I've done emergency lighting for 20 years. So I know what I'm talking about when I tell you about lighting. These are premium lights for a good deal. I mean, they're quality lights. Even all the hardware, which I was surprised, it's all stainless steel. You don't see stainless steel in hardware kits. I buy lighting all the time for the government agency I work for. I buy probably $80,000 worth of lighting every year for all the stuff we're doing. And they're not good quality like this. They don't come with stainless. You got to buy the stainless. So actually, I'm going to push this product to my boss, because, and I'll just, they'll have to buy them direct, because there's a, conflict of interest thing when you do that stuff. But, and oh, here's the other thing on them I didn't show you. They got nice cooling fins. Can you see the cooling fins on? Let's see if you can see them. You see how nice these cooling fins are? That's a nice setup. And they're all aluminum. This is aluminum. That's not plastic. This whole housing is made of aluminum. And the hardware is nice where they go together. I mean, they're just good quality. For the price, they're crazy quality. I would expect to pay 5 times that for those lights from another company. And I've used Sound Off, I've used Wheelin. I mean, I've used all kinds of different lighting companies that are out there. And these are, these are probably being built in China. Most of them are now, which kind of sucks, but it's just the way it is. But for what they are, they're good quality. I'm going to buy another set while they're still really cheap, because I know, see what they're doing on these. They're trying to get their product out to the, out in the masses so people can take a look at their product. So they're really cheap right now. Once they get a foothold in the market, these things will triple in price. I know they will, because they're that good of quality. But anyway, I'll answer your question with that. I'm tired of Jeeps blinding me at night, man. I live a little bit out in the country, and these people run all the lights all night, regardless of someone that's coming their way. Hey, dude, stack 2 of those on your bike. They'll know you're coming, man. They're bright. You can't look into them. So I lit them up here on my bench, and then I turned the lights out in here, and I tried to look into the light. You can't look into them. They're so bright. Well, that's the thing I didn't, and I don't mean to carry on about the lights. I'm just trying to answer your questions, because I don't want to be a salesman here. It helps keep the light on when we sell these. But check it out. So I'll explain something to you real quick, because I've done a lot of LED lighting. LED lighting, a problem with LED lighting is very directional. So wherever you put the LED, that's where it goes. Hey, my friend, thank you for your time and knowledge. I now have to work on my 4-wheeler. Hey, buddy, thanks for that. I appreciate that a lot. You know what? I really appreciate when you guys do that. Dude just handed me $10. I really appreciate that, Doc Mojo. He's gave me money before. Yeah, a couple times. I really appreciate you doing that, because it helps me to give away tools. It does. That's where that money goes. So I appreciate that 100%. Thank you. Go check it. Yeah, let me know how the 4-wheeler thing goes for sure. All right. So anyway, the directional lighting on the LEDs, I'll get back to that, is LED lighting is very directional. So wherever it goes, that's where it's going. There's no outside light outside that. So what they've done really cool with these is, see right here, like in the middle, they got spot lighting. So that goes straight out, and it's going to go wherever it goes. And then on the top and bottom, they've done this with them. Let's see if you can see that. So you got a flood this way, and then the spot in the middle. And I'm trying to remember how many modules. It's like crazy amount of modules. Let's see. It looks like 11. 2, 4, 6, 8. No, there's 10. So there's actually 40 LED lights in this thing. This thing is crazy bright, man. I'm not kidding you. They're a good unit. That's all there is to it. I'm surprised I haven't sold more of them, because, man, for $26, especially if you have Prime. If you have Prime, they're $26. And I don't make a lot of money on it. Think about it. 5% of $26 is like, what, $2.06? I make $1.30 when I sell a set of these. But it all helps, It all helps us keep, being able to bring good content, being able to have good lighting, a good camera. All that stuff helps us out. And honestly, when I say I appreciate you supporting the channel, I really mean it. Because like this guy, he just gave me $10. And he didn't even talk today. All he did was sit and listen to us. And, he sent me money before. He sent me like $5 here, $5 there. And, I just want people to know that I appreciate when even like if you buy a set of lights from me or buy something from me, I appreciate it, because it helps support my channel. And I'm just some guy trying to grind away at YouTube. It's not an easy gig. It's tough. And I give away a lot of my time for this, but I enjoy you guys. I enjoy you guys coming. And, like Maggot, we talk about every other day now. And we're just talking through the screen, but I want to be able to bring you guys on where we can like maggot, where I can send you a link and you click on it and I can have you right here on the screen. I can say, hey, let's bring maggot up. Bam. What do you think, maggot? And we can have, it could be more of a fun discussion instead of listening to one guy's opinion all the time. Because I'm very opinionated. What do you guys think about the shirts? Would you buy a shirt? And if you would, what's a good bargain? Because these right here, we can sell pretty cheap. I mean, we can get a good bargain on these. I'm thinking like 25, 30 bucks. 25, 30 bucks, but these, the only thing is I don't like they're good quality. I had a friend of mine, she did a good job on these. Don't get me wrong. But I know that these letters right here will lift, especially if you put them in the dryer and you don't turn them inside out. So there's other ways we can do the shirts where they're better quality, but then the price goes up. So anyway, I mean, we can sell these long sleeves, for 25, 30. That's a good bargain, I think. We can do different colors too. I like the black with the green. I think it looks good, but my idea of good may not be what somebody else's is. I'd like to see one mounted on a Crown Vic, take off the stock spotlight in the driver's door and mount one of those to a light bar on a swivel. You can point. Actually, you could do these light bar on a swivel. You'd have to, well, you'd have to make a different kind of, Tyler, you'd probably have to make a whole bar that moves, but that's kind of how these work. See how they mount like that? When you can rotate them one way or the other. So what you could do is take like 3 or 4 of these and mount them on a piece of aluminum somehow to where you could maybe just undo one bolt and move it. So what they do is they kind of like this. So here's, here I'm going to show you. It's hard to see on here. So this goes on the back like that. And then you have the ability to do this. And they got some technology we used to use and we still do. It's called T-mounts. And what they do, they mount the screw. Let me get that. See how they mount the screw in there? And then you can slide the bracket one way or the other, wherever you need it. It works great. I'm looking at some property now. Hey, good deal, Harvinsky. Where are you at, man? I like stress looking stuff. My new stuff goes on the clothesline for months for that look. Hey, I can do some stress stuff, I'm sure. We can probably get some like stress material. What would be a good color for the stress though? Probably like a tan or something, huh? Make it look dingy and dirty. In Indiana. I know you told me that before. 6 acres is a lot of land. I don't even think you need that much. Well, it's good to have it. But like you were talking about doing some small lot farming, half acre. I'd start with a half acre. Smaller's bigger. Smaller's better. Because what happens if you plant, and so you guys know Harvinsky, he's thinking about doing some small lot farming to pay for his land. The problem with, if you go too big, beef cows, look into the cost of all that. Actually, Maggot, he knows a lot about that. He raises, don't you do sheep, Maggot? Yeah. That's hard to find good farmland. I'm just telling you, when it comes to the farming part, what happens with a lot of people, what they do is they get started and and I'll tell you this because I learned this from Curtis Stone and Jean Martin, is a lot of times what people do, they get way out of focus and they grow like 15 crops and they do like 3 acres and they don't stay focused and they got so much going on they can't do good farming techniques, and then the way you're spending your time is eaten up by trying to do too much. You're better to pick 3 crops that are good quality crops, that are good cash crops. Do those on a smaller level, like a half acre. Half acre is way more than you need. I would even start with like a 1/4 acre my first season until I get it dialed in, then go. Yeah, 6 acres is a lot. acre and a half close to Oklahoma and Texas. I don't think she'd be that big until I went up to visit. It's a pretty good sized plot. It's a lot of work when you have that much property too. And not saying that you wouldn't do it. I'm just saying you might think about like taking 4 acres and leasing it out for people for their cows and or horses or your own. And then might as well I'll get to you, Phil. Welcome to the live, Phil, by the way. He's a usual here for sure. He's a good guy. I've got 2 sheep on an acre and that's plenty of grass. Yeah. Good deal. You got some help. 6 acres is cool because you can you might be able to think about splitting it in half and using half for housing and half for farming. Then you could put if your brother's wanting to build something, you could build 2 houses. They could have land and property, and then you guys could use it. You don't need, I'm just trying to say, you don't need a lot of acres to make money. Actually, less land is better when it comes to small lot farming. There's a guy, God, I wish, I'm going to look, you know what, dude? Hang tight for just a minute because there's a guy. Give me just a second, man. I know this is kind of weird right in the middle of live, but don't mind. I'm going to see. There's a guy that's in New York. He's a king of small art farming. Well, I remember it now. It's called Never Sink Farms. I'm with you guys. Hang on. I'm just trying to look this up. I'm going to post this link right here. All right. Hang on, guys. That's something going on here. I'm trying not to do this. Yeah, I killed it. Okay. You still there? Hang on. I'm trying to do this for you. So this guy, I wish I could post a link though. Let me see if I can post a link. Hang with me. I'm sorry. I'm just all over the place here. I'm trying to find his link. Oh, there it is right there. Why can't I do that? I don't know why I have a hard time highlighting stuff, but I do. Yeah, I'm going to post this. Let's go back to StreamYard. We'll get rid of this. Get rid of all this stuff. Okay, I'm going to remove that. Okay. Hey, dude, I'm going to post this link. Okay. And go check this guy out, man. This guy is the bomb, man. And you can just look him up on YouTube. His name is Never Sink Farm. And he used to be a corporate guy. He worked as in a big office and stuff. And he just got sick of the grind and he started farming. And he had to learn, through the process. The first couple of years, he almost went broke. And now, man, the guy's he's a guru. He does 450,000 on a half acre. So it's doable. And Curtis Stone, he's another one, man. You got to go check him out. I don't know if you had a chance. Let me see. Harvinsky, if you had a chance. Yeah, I've got a lot of ideas. Olive Garden, probably half acre. Yeah, it's probably a good way to go. And then you can increase up to an acre. Maggie, you're going to do bees? That's a good idea. I found for me, having pollinators is really important. Like we had really good pollinators just naturally for a while, and they kind of started dropping off. So I started planting these plants. They're called lipstick. I think some people call them Sylvia, but man, they bring in the bumblebees like no other. I mean, we have them in the front and back, and we get tons of bumblebees now. And then I do lavender. And I do lipsticks, you know, and then we do a bunch of zinnias and flowers and stuff. So even hummingbirds are great pollinators if you can get them to come in. They can be really good pollinators. So anyway, so pretty soon we're going to put up, hey, Maggot, I'll look into some distressed material for the shirts. I'm sure we can do that. Just because, you know, I like, you guys give me your ideas on all this stuff. You know, if you think it's like too big, too whatever, black, nah, or whatever, you know, different, whatever, let me know, because I want to bring a product, and we're trying to get up, I always want to say Spotify, but it's not. It's a store link that we can use. I don't know why I can't think today. Anyway, we're going to get that going. So we'll have a link to the store that'll have our merch. So when people want to get a hat or something, they can go do that. I used to build high-rise buildings. My table was full of plants. Phone was always ringing. Now I grow cabbages. Yeah. Isn't that kind of nice when you stand back? You know, that's the nice thing about the internet is, like, if you have expertise, you can build a course and sell it to people, and people will buy it. Small bird bass. They're called bee watering stations. Yeah, they need water left out. They have like these bee hotel things you can make with like bamboo, and you leave them hanging, and the bees will come in. But all that stuff makes a difference. We have a really good microclimate here on my property, because I have like citrus trees, and then I got big hedges. I got big sycamores. Matter of fact, I just had a talk with a water guy yesterday. They just came out and changed my meter, and my water bill went from $100 a month, and I just got a bill for $600. I said, "You're out of your mind. There's no way I could use that much water." So I'm having a little battle with them right now. I know, man. I used to do concrete. I told you that, didn't I? I used to be a plastering hog carrier. I used to have concrete on me, just covered on me every day. My beard would be like hard as a rock because it had cement in it. In life now is cabbage moss. Yeah, that's a big problem, huh? So, Maggot, do you sell your cabbage, or is this a personal thing, or are you selling cabbage? Yeah, Tyler, is that crazy? So when I first called them, they told me it was for 1 month. I said I'd have to move if that's what my water bill is going to be. There's 2 people living in this house. It's not like we're growing a freaking, you know, I have all my stuff on drip. It's not just open watering, you know, so. And then I talked to the guy, and he says, "Oh no, that's for 2 months." I said, "Man, I wish you guys would get your stuff straight." The lady told me 1 month. Now you're telling me 2 months. They put in a new meter, and then they did they estimated my water use. And then they're saying, well, it's even going to be higher because your water use was high. So this month I only used 5 units so far. So I'm only on track for 10. And the 2 months prior to that, they said I used 59 units. I'm like, 59 units is 48,000 gallons of water. If you put 48,000 gallons of water on this property, you'd be standing 2 feet of water right now, or 2 inches of water right now. I said, there's something wrong with your math. You got to figure it out, because there ain't no way this old boy's paying $600 for 2 months of water. And I don't mind paying but there's something wrong with what you did. You put a meter in, and now my bill is 6 times what it used to be. Yeah, I'm not happy. I got done talking to him. He said, well, I can't really change your bill. You have to, they have to do that. And I said, well, I'm not going to, they don't even have an office you can go to, which is probably a good thing. I tried to go down there and never closed. And I said, I'll wait till Monday, because I'm a little wound up right now. If I get them on the phone, I'm probably going to not be able to be patient. I just want to be able to talk civil, because I think that you guys are wrong. Because I mean, realistically, think about it. This month I only used 5 units of water. How could I have used, one month they said I used 59 units, which is 750 gallons to a unit. So they're saying that I used, like 47,000 gallons of water. There's no way. That's cool, Maggot. You know what? I always wanted to do I was really wanting to do small lot gardening, and I wanted to do a food to fork, fork to farm type thing where we could do dishes out of the garden that was all 100% organic and made everything made from the garden. But Maggot, hose water works, but when it rains, everything doubles in size. You know what? Rainwater has something that I've been saying that forever. I've been saying there's something with rainwater that you don't get from a hose. It does something. Because if you, like here, if we get rain and you go out and look at everything, like 5 days later, just goes crazy. It's God's natural way, It's like organics. It's supposed to happen that way, so. But all our water, it's got chlorine in it, and it's got all kinds of stuff in it, man-made stuff. So anyway, but I'm not happy about it because I've converted all my stuff. Because years ago, when I first bought this house, I was on flat rate. When I first bought my house, it was $40 a month, as much water as I wanted to use. And then it went to 60. And then they threatened me about the meter, or I was going to have to pay $99 a month. I said, fine, I'll pay $99 a month. I'd rather do that than be on a meter. So I did that for a long time. And then the state came out and threatened me. They said, you've got to go on a meter. It's state required. So I was like the last of 5 people in the whole district that was on flat rate water. So when they took me off of a flat rate, I set everything up on drip. So everything I have now is on drip meters, which is you should do anyway. And it was a good way to do it. And now I can do fertigation with it. So I can put like if I want to put some, say, fish emulsion on everything, I just pour it in a bucket, turn the water on, and it fertilizes everything. So it's a good way to do it. But I'm already set up to be very efficient with my watering. And then for them to send me a $600 bill, I was like, there is no way, man. You would have to have a water hose going 24/7 to make that kind of water. I looked at getting a food truck. Turns out even the best old trucks still bring, because of the kitchen open the back wanted to open a burger truck. Hey, Tyler, check this out, man. I looked into that. I'm the same kind of guy. I'm always looking into how I can make a buck. Those food trucks, you can make $100,000 out of a food truck. Here's what you do. Go see what the county requirements are. Go buy an old motorhome. It's got everything you need. It's got water storage. It's got, some of the motorhomes, they're too narrow in the walkways. It doesn't meet the requirement. But if you look at the older motorhomes, because here's what you have. You have water storage. You got hot water here that produces hot water that they require. You got sewer storage for your sewer where you can dump it. You got a generator for electricity. You got everything you need to run a food truck. Then just cut the window out, put you a thing in there, and you're open, man. For about $10,000, you can run a food truck out of motorhome. Only drink rainwater. That's right. I'm not the crazy one. Yeah, you're probably right, man. Yeah, I believe that. I even taste it in my water here. Like if you don't run the water for a while and you go in the middle of the night and you get a big old thing, you take a drink, you're like, what was that? My girl, that's all she only drinks filtered water. She won't drink out of the faucet. You left in sun before watering seedlings. Yep, you're right. Yep, you got to let it set. They say 24 hours the chlorine will run. It does make a difference too on your seedlings. Man, in a bed and bathroom in the back. I'll have to look into that, man. Yeah, and you can, like you said, you'd have to gut out the bed where the bed is, because you're going to want to have room in there. And then you could add stuff. Like you could put in a grill if you want. Just put an overhead, just put in an overhead, because they require it. They're going to require a overhead, what do you call that? There's a thing that goes over like where your grill is for fire. And So anyway, they require that. But right, I was thinking that's because I wanted to do a fryer type business, because I make these crazy good tortilla chips, and I was going to do just chips and salsa and like homemade salsa out of the garden. And I thought about that because I could just do like 2 or 3 fryers where the bed was with a hood. That's what it's called, hood. Take a Caravan Australia day and sell hamburger and hot dogs on smokes. You make $3,500 in a day. Really? See, I forgot about that. I've thought about doing the food truck, and I tell you, I shouldn't give this away, but there's so many people out there, it ain't gonna matter. Here's a killer way to make money. The biggest markup that you can do on a food truck is beer. It costs you 50 cents a glass, and you can sell it for $7. So here's what I thought about doing. Doing a beer truck and do the events like the bike runs, the tattoo conventions, all those kind of things like that. And do split the truck. Guys on one side, women on the other. Get some good looking beefed out dudes to run one side, like 3 bartenders, and then get some good looking girls on the other side. It doesn't hurt to have some eye candy for that kind of stuff. And then just sell beer and put some nice stereo on it. Put some big speakers on the top and play some like older style, like not country rock, but classic rock. And so people can hear you and they go, oh man, you gotta go down there. That guy's got it going on. And just sell, man. You could sell so much beer like that. And beer is a giant markup. Good money. You could make a lot of money. I wish I could listen to some of my own ideas sometimes. Just the dollars get me in trouble, man. I don't have the money to get these things rolling. I bought a small metal house for $5,000, and it was looking for 10 acres. This house is too big for me. Yeah, I live in a 1,200 square foot house, and in my opinion, this house is too big. This is my spare room that I do my video in out of. I don't use it for anything else. And that's why we started doing it. It's just like an empty room, just sitting there collecting dust. Once you get to a certain age, you don't need a very big house. I was going to try to renovate my garage into a really nice studio. And because I can do that, I can get a permit and all that to do it. It's not cheap, but I can do it. And then live in the garage and rent out the house. And then we could travel, and then we can come back to the studio whenever we want. I thought about doing that. I'm still thinking about that because I got a detached garage that's about 500 square feet, and I could live in 500 square feet. I'm doing it now because, we don't really spend much time other than in the dining room or the living room and smoking hot girls there. We would get all the tradesmen in the morning. We make 1,500 just in the morning. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, man. And I'm not downsizing women, but if I can give you a job and you don't mind, dressing a certain way that brings in the customers, that's going to put money in your pocket, man. I'll pay you well. I'm gonna share what I make with my employees. If you bring in money, I'm going to put money in your pocket. I don't want power or mains water. You don't want power? Maggot, so what are you doing? You doing solar? Because I think you said you were doing 12-volt stuff, huh? You can get solar panels cheap used now. You can find them where people are selling them for like $8-10 a panel. Light a fire to have a bath. Now I just push buttons and turn stuff. Maggie, you did things the hard way, huh? But that's a good thing to do that stuff, man. People forgot what it used to be like to have to really work hard to get things done. Really. I think we have a lot to teach. Guys like me and you have a lot to teach the new generation. That they didn't get taught in school. Their parents didn't teach them, most of them. We have a lot to teach them. It's like this is how you survive in life. This is how you learn how to do things on your own, and don't worry. Be more self-sufficient. Don't have to call somebody every time you turn around because something is not working and you don't have a clue how to fix it. You know, they know how to fix their cell phone though. Wait till that cell phone goes where it doesn't work. Man, they'll be on the internet for 20 hours to make that thing work. But you know, when their toilet stops flushing, they pick up the phone. Hey, can you come fix my toilet? Oh, $1,000, no problem. You know, I got power now on all the modern stuff. That's good. You know, well, it makes you appreciate when you have to figure things out the hard way. When you finally do get it, it makes you appreciate it more. You know, that's like I told my kids when they were younger, I wouldn't give them anything. I'd make them work for everything. The summertime, like my kids would want to do something. And they say, Dad, do you have money where yeah, I have it, but you're going to earn it. I need this done. I need 6 holes dug by the end of the week. You get them done, I'll give you the money. You know, I made them work for everything. They didn't get nothing for free. I get jealous. I manage a pizza place and the girls have showed me their tips. Their bad days put my hopes days to shame. Well, you know, like I said, I do. If I could swing it, you could spend some money putting together a beer truck, but you could do the same thing. Don't overlook them old motorhomes, man. Find a good one. Like look for like country coaches are getting hard to find. I own one, and it's the best motorhome you could ever buy. But the Allegro buses, there's another one. Holiday Rambler makes a good quality coach, even though it's old. They make a good quality coach, and they're still usable, man. You can find them for a couple grand sometimes, but you can find a good one for about 5,000. Would also be really easy if you could manage the fresh dough. Man, don't say that. I'm known for my pizza dough. People come to me and say, man, when are you going to make pizza dough again? Because I make homemade pizza dough. And I make homemade pizza, and it is the freaking bomb, dude. And I've been told that I've been told, man, you need to have a pizza truck. But to me, if you did beer and pizza, that'd be smoking, man, because you could sell beer and pizza. That's a good idea. Thanks for the idea, Tyler. If I did beer and pizza, that'd be good. You could sell a lot. Pizza's some work, though, for sure. Beer is cheap, easy, man. You go like this, $7. $7. Think about how, and when you got a bunch of guys at a biker thing with some very attractive women giving them their beer, you're going to make a ton of money. $3 slices, man, you can make a killing. Yeah, I think you could, man. You could. It takes some work. Getting the pizza ready takes some work, though. You can do it, though. You just hire somebody, that's willing to work hard, and you can make money. I just want to sit back and watch the money machine work. Where I could be here talking to you guys going, yeah, made $3,000 a day. Awesome. You got to learn how to work smarter, not harder. When you get to be our age, we shouldn't have to be killing it, but I still do it, man. Like today, I'm going to go out there and wrench on that truck. I know I shouldn't because my back's toast, but I need to get it done. So I'm just going to do it. I don't have no young guy to come do it for me. I had, all my kids moved away. I never had sons, so I don't have any sons to come, hey, if I had sons, I'd be calling them going, hey, come over here. I need you to do this fuel thing for me today. I'll hand you pieces. But I'm going to have to get out there and get it done because they ain't going to get it done unless I do it, It's going to happen by accident. Anyway, if you guys would, share the live if you would, share the live, share it out when you have a chance, and click on these links below. And if you're thinking about looking for some LED lighting for any reason at all, check out those lights, man. They'd be great even on like a gate. Like if you had a little battery pack out by the gate and you wanted to turn the light on to come in and out of the gate, man, these things are freaking awesome, man. They're just crazy bright. I just push them because they're $26. I mean, how can you go wrong for 2 LEDs, aluminum housed with stainless steel hardware for $26? They're going to go way up. Once they hit the market, these things will be 4 times that much money. I got given a couch last year, no motor, coach, no motor, went to pick it up and it had had no steering wheel. And I gave up. Yeah. That's a money maker too. I've told young guys, because I have so many good ideas for making money. I just don't have the ability to and I try to do it, but after about 5-6 days of busting butt, my back just says, nope, you're done. I can't even hardly walk. So that's why I try to do this. I'm trying to do some teaching, make things easier on myself. But the motorhome thing can be a money maker. I see motorhomes all the time for free. People put free motorhome, no paperwork, come and get it. All those motorhomes usually have a big block Chevy in them, or they have a big block Ford in them with a good tranny. You take those motorhomes, man, you take a chainsaw, rip the side open, jerk the motor out, haul it off. You can take the frames and turn them into steel. There's a lot you can do with an old motorhome. Then a lot of the older motorhomes, the pieces on those things, vintage, like mirrors and like steering wheels and just weird stuff, bring big bucks on eBay. So those motorhomes that people are just giving away for free, look at it this way. You get, let's say somebody puts in an old Dodge motorhome for free. Okay. A 440 with a tranny behind it's worth $1,000. Pull it out, there's $1,000 bill. Okay. You scrap it, you get a trailer, it's going to cost you some money to haul off the fiberglass part of it. So you get the motor and tranny out, and then you start getting out the stuff like the air conditioning units, the mirrors, and sell that separately. You can make a couple $1,000s a unit every time you go get one. So there's money there to be made on that stuff. I learned a long time ago, when you find something people are willing to give away and find a market for it, you can make some money. I used to do that with books. I used to sell books years ago on eBay, and I used to buy books at yard sales, and I'd get them for $0.25, and some of them were worth $100. And I'd buy boxes, man, for like $1, and I'd go through them and I'd find the good ones and sell them. Anytime, and see, that's what's happened. Look at what they did to wing. Do you guys remember when chicken wings were like 10 cents a pound? Go try to find them now, because that was byproduct. They didn't have no market for it. Now it's become where people want to do wings, for barbecues. Now wings are expensive. That had a 440 in it. It was much for her. She got a smaller van. Yeah. I tell you, a good motorhome, if you're looking for one, look for those Dodge motorhomes that are 20-footer. They built a 20-footer Dodge motorhome, and they had a 440 on them. And what's cool about them is you can tow something behind it. Like you can put a boat back there, a good sized boat. I mean, they'll tow anything. They're big motor on a small chassis, and they got a good pulling capacity. She got a smart van. I wanted to get into flipping furniture that way. So many people give out furniture, and you can restain it from paint it, get some cheap knobs from the hardware store and sell it. Tyler, that's doable. I see it here. You just got to make sure what you're buying is worth putting the time into. I've seen people do that a lot here. They'll get stuff off the marketplace for free, and then they'll just paint it and resell it and do pretty well. There's all kinds of ways to make money like that. I thought about doing a steam cleaner business, but really, honestly, all the ideas I've had, a beer truck is a money maker, man. A beer truck is, you can make $200,000 in a year. I'm not exaggerating. You can make $200,000 selling beer in a year if you go to the events. But you have to travel to the events, and you have to hire people to help you and have everything dialed in where nobody's waiting. You get your, bam, bam, bam. Have the Zelle and the thing where they can pay. You don't have to handle money. Just boom, boom, boom. Keep people going. Don't make people wait. That's what people don't like to do. They hate waiting. So if you have a system where they get to come up and have a really pretty girl give them a beer, and they get in and out of there in 20 seconds, you're going to make money. It's all about, you got to be able to, I ran a couple businesses, so COVID put me out of business. I was doing really well business-wise, and COVID just basically bankrupted me. So I'm back to the grind, and I lost my wife, so I got to figure that all out, as far as increasing my income again. Your motorhomes, they are like caravans with big block engines. Ours are like trucks with a caravan on the back. Oh, really? That's interesting. I went to a garage sale and bought a little box of crap. It had an 1804 silver dollar in it. Last time I looked, it was worth 3.6 mil. Okay, come on, maggot. Really? 3.6 mil? What are you doing out in the desert then? You should be in Hollywood, man. Swimming in the pool in the backyard. I got you. They took the eBay still. You bought an eBay still? They took the eBay still as well. You're kind of an outlaw, aren't you? I can tell you're a little bit of an outlaw doing all that stuff you're not supposed to be doing. Here, you can get a license here to sell booze. They make you pay through the nose for it, but it's worth it because you can make a lot of money. I don't know. I really seriously thought about setting up an old motorhome as a beer truck. Have flip out seatings where people can sit down at a little bar stool, and then have good music and go follow all the events. You get a lot of big bike shows out here like Reno, and there's a bunch of them, but you have to travel to them. So you can't be working when I'm only going to work for probably another 6 months, and I'm going to be done. Maybe we'll see. They've been wanting me to come back to work full time, but I lose my Social Security if I do that. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to give them that. I'm not giving it back. They offered me a big fat raise to come back full time. Yeah, but once you retire and you have my retirement, the way it works, if I go back to work, I lose my retirement until I retire. So I have to make up that money. So I don't make a lot more money by going back full time. I get insurance and all that, and retire, vacation and all that stuff. But I just don't. I don't know. I'm 61, man. I don't want to keep working. I don't want to punch a clock. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to get it figured out where I can afford to just do the YouTube thing, and money is not good. My brother and I had a big boat with 2 bedrooms. There was girls and booze everywhere. There's nothing wrong with that, brother. I'm not possessed by money. I just want to have a good quality of life and relax and not have to stress about paying my bills. I wasn't, but like I said, I had something happen in my life that kind of threw me a screwball. When I lost my wife, I lost half my income. So I had to go back to work. So I should be getting my Social Security this year, and then that'll help, but it won't be enough. So I want to get something. I like this YouTube thing. If I could lean into the lives and I think the lives are going to really work, man. I really do. I'm going to start posting them as podcasts so they get put out there, because we get a lot of people talking about that they listen to our podcast. Hey, what'd you guys think of the thumbnail I did today? Here, I'll put it up. What'd you think of my thumbnail? That's the first time I did a thumbnail to do the lives. I know, Maggot. I was there. I was retired for 5 years, but I was helping with a business, so it still felt retired. I got to get up when I wanted to, work when I want to. I feel the same way, man. I'm kind of getting tired of working. And I'm not lazy, man. I'm a go-getter. But I'm just wanting to just relax a little bit, not be so wound up tight, worrying about money all the time. Sheep are eating the grass. There's still stuff happening. Good for you, man. I see, and I was talking to my girl and my daughter the other day. And next season, I'm thinking about just going full tomatoes on my property and see if I can make an extra 20,000. I think I can. I really do, as long as nothing drastic. You know how farming is, though. Farming can be good or bad. You can have a great year or a crappy year. You just don't know sometimes. Oh yeah, you took an actual picture. Clutch and stick, what are you talking about? My thing? Yeah, so what I had, you're talking about this? Yeah, so what it was, I was doing a video and I had that and I said, oh, that'll look pretty good, that little wrench there, where people know what we're talking about. I've been using Canva a little bit, so I'm getting better at it. I'm not great at it, but it's really fast. I've learned a lot about the thumbnails. I mean, I'm not great at it yet. I know I'm not, but I've learned less is more with the thumbnail. Use big letters if you can, and try to say something that's intriguing, like, did you know this? Or can't live without, that kind of stuff. And that grabs people's attention. But at first I was doing horrible thumbnails. My thumbnails were terrible, but I've learned now how to make a pretty good thumbnail better than what it was. Hey, Clutch and Stick, I appreciate all your input, by the way, about the channel and things that I can do. Like today, you helped me out a lot. That wrenching came up with a font to write yes. Yeah. So I'm trying to keep the green, bright green, so people will see it and know it's us, kind of thing. And then, but I appreciate you giving me some pointers on stuff I wasn't aware of. So today what I did was I scheduled the live, like you said, and then I went into YouTube and I was able to put the links, and that was really helpful to me. And I want to thank you for that. Appreciate it. Now I'm tired. I tell cops, you stood in the sand if it wasn't for me building your cop shop. Yeah, I know, man. I tell these youngsters and my kids all the time, it's like, man, you drop dead if you try to keep up with me when I was your age. I never went to bed, man. I never slept. I slept 2 hours a night. And then I go hard, man. You would have dropped dead. They can't hardly keep up with me now, and I'm 61. Imagine what it was like when I was 25. When I was 25, I'd stay up all night working on a car. I worked till 3 a.m. I didn't care I didn't have a clock in my garage. Clocks weren't allowed. We work until the work is done. That's how that works. Clutch and Stick, yeah, thank you for that. You know what, I'm kind of thinking, I keep hearing, you hear all this stuff about YouTube, about do this, do that. You're supposed to do this and have a hook, have that, and first 30 seconds. I mean, you hear all that crap, people just trying to sell you some kind of a course for $1,000. But I'm really starting to understand is that when something's working, lean into it. It's what works for you. Everything that somebody else is doing may not work for you. So for me, the lives seem to be working. I mean, we don't have 1,000 people in here right now, but they're starting to get some traction a little at a time. And I think if we just keep doing the lives the way we are and get an audience, once we go horizontal, where we can get a good, thing going on, and we can do some teaching, I want to start doing a podcast. I'm thinking a podcast is a good way to go. If you can because I listened to, so I went on, because I got Prime, so I listened to Amazon Prime the other day while I was cooking. So I tried to pull up some automotive lives or podcasts. None of them they were all terrible. I didn't see a single one that I would sit on there and listen to for more than 5 minutes. And, maybe most people wouldn't either, but, I think if we get some people with some character and, you know, have a chit chat and a banter back and forth, you could have a pretty good podcast, I think. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking. That doesn't mean I'm right. Just finished a bedroom, had to paint all the detail in the comments. It took 2 nights. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's how I've always done stuff. Like, I did the roof on my garage about 7 years ago. And everybody and their brother was saying, man, just have somebody come do it. You know, you shouldn't be up on that roof. You know what? Up yours, man. I'm going to get up there and knock it out. I'm not waiting for nobody. I'm going to get up there and cut the bad wood out, fix it, put the roof on, nail it off. I did the whole roof. I don't need no help. I'm tough. Yeah, I think it is in a way, you know, I do. And in the lives, I don't really get to show my skills, because I do have good skills when it comes to teaching people about how to do electrical, automotive repair. And I have a lot of skills because I've done a lot of jobs over the years. And so I can really do that. But the lives in the morning are more about, you know, just the crew. Everybody like you guys getting together and just talking about stuff, and just try to keep it automotive as much as I can. But we get off topic once in a while. We talk about gardening and sheep and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? You just got to kind of let it be. You don't want to keep trying to form something. Just let it be what it is, and people will enjoy it, I think. If they have the same interests that we do, they'll enjoy it, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Maggie, 100%. That's what I feel. Just be yourself. You know, have fun doing it, and people will join in that want to have fun too. I think so. I think it's going to take time, you know, but I think a year from now, this live in the morning is not going to be what it is right now. And I'm going to start loading them as podcasts. So there's a way that you can go into YouTube and you can click on your lives and you can load them as a podcast. And what that does, let me know if you know about this, Clutch and Stick, is that I see you, Doc. I'll get right to you. What I see about that is what happens is when you load it as a podcast, then YouTube loads it to their YouTube Music, and people will listen to your podcast through the music platform. Maybe not the right time, but my push button in the 4-wheeler is not working. If I rig a push button switch from the battery to the starter, will I cook anything? On your 4-wheeler, little side-by-side. Doc, give me some info. So you're talking about a little 4-wheeler side-by-side, like a little Polaris or a Ranger or something like that? Hey, Doc Mojo. Tell me what you have for no standard 4-wheeler. Okay, I got you. Small little rig though. Okay, so typically on any starter circuit, yeah, that's what I thought too. Because we've been getting a lot of people saying that. I'm talking to Clutch right now. I will get right to you, Doc. I can help you through that. Yeah, I'm going to try it, because what happens is when you load that's a nice thing about doing podcasts, is when you do podcasts, it gets pushed out to different platforms. On YouTube, if you load them like that, it only goes out to YouTube. But there's other platforms that you can do, like here, if you use StreamYard and you use their software, you can sign up for like Spotify, YouTube, Discord. You can sign up to all those. So when you do a podcast, it gets pushed out to there. You just one button and it goes there. You don't have to go to each one and do all that. Okay, Doc Mojo, older Honda. So when you say your push button is not working, what you need to do is go down to the starter where the starter's at and get a test light. And when you push that button, see if you have power there, because you may have lost a solenoid. It may not be the button. So if you don't have power there, then yeah, you can set up a standard push button, because that is not a fuse circuit on the push button. It's just power, and you can put an inline fuse if you want. Might be the relay, but if I jump from the battery, I'm worried about cooking wires. Okay, does it have a relay? Okay, so let's walk through that. So if it has a relay, so go to the relay, and I'm not sure on Honda, but most relays have 4 pins on them. And usually you're going to have 2 big heavy wires and 2 small wires. And the 2 big heavy wires, one is power and the other one is where you want to send power. And the 2 small wires is what you use to build a magnetic field to close the switch. So what you can do on those relays is just take a wire from the 2 big wires, go from power to where you want to send power. So on that starter relay, what you're trying to do, it closes a contact in, and all it does is it connects that it's on usually pin 30, but Honda's going to be different. But it usually just connects your power to the solenoid down at the starter. So by just jumping a wire across there, it'll tell you if the starter's working and the solenoid's good. So you should be able to just jump from, so when you take a test light, one of those is going to be hot. If you don't have anything, then you're going to have to chase that down. But pull that relay out, take a test light, figure out which one is hot. That's your power coming in. Look at the back and look at usually the 2 wires that are the biggest round. That's going to be the solenoid wire. So you can just go from the one that lights up with a test light to the other big wire, and it should crank. And if it does, then you're going to know that the wires right there are good. And maybe the problem is more than likely the relay. When you push that button, it's just the ground side of those other 2 small wires. Yeah, it could be the button. So normally on the switch, the 2 little wires, they got power on one, and then the other one is coming from the switch. And when you hit the switch, that's the ground that grounds the relay and closes it. So what you might be able to do, if you can unplug that switch, ground that wire, because that's all the switch is doing. It's just grounding the wire. Then the ground closes the relay, and then the relay hits out there. So if you're just trying to fix it like quickie, you might just be able to just, those little horn buttons that you put on your old trucks because the horn don't work? You can just take one of those and hook the one wire going down, that's coming in. Just connect it there, and then take the other wire and put it on ground. You just need to ground that wire. So when it goes to ground, it closes the relay. Hope that makes sense. I think it may be the relay. Just like I said, I would find the relay. First of all, find the relay and hit the button and see if it's clicking. If you go like this with the button and that relay don't go click, 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 that's your first test. And then what I would do is find the wire that goes up to the switch and just touch it to ground momentarily. If it starts to crank, then you know the switch is bad. Pull both wires out of the button, join together, run. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Maggot's saying the same thing. The switch just allows it to go to ground. So if the ground is good coming into the switch and the wire is good, when you connect them together, it'll crank. But if you've lost the ground for any reason, we'll have to chase that down. But like I said, just You could do what Maggot said to test the switch. You could just take a pair of dikes and cut the wire, spread them apart, strip them back, and when you touch those two wires together, it should crank. But if it doesn't, then you're gonna have to go down another road because you may have lost the relay, or maybe the power to the relay is not there. And I can walk you through. Yeah, so you got power to one. So just make sure when you power the other one that you're on the right wire. Because there's four. One will be hot, and then you need to figure out which one's going down to the starter solenoid. And then if that makes it crank, then the wires from the relay is good all the way down. And you either lost the power on the little wire for the, I don't want to confuse you. You've either lost the power on the small wire that goes, that builds the magnetic field, or you lost the ground. But I think starting out, that might be a good way to do it. Is like Maggot said, just cut the wire right there at the switch and touch them together. If it cranks, it's the button's bad. You're done. Just need another button. You can put a toggle switch right there. Just you have to make sure, or push button or anything. I would do that. I think that Maggot thinks that's a good test. You can just cut those two wires right at the button, bring them together, take them apart, strip them, and when you touch them, it should crank. And if it does, the button's bad. If it doesn't, now we know we need to do some other testing. I do have power to one. Yeah, the two big wires are the one you want to jump across. Should have power on one. When you jump here, it should crank. If it does, you know that you got good. This lead going down to the solenoid is good, and the starter's good. So you have to start working on the other little ones. The other little one, when you turn the switch to on, it should give you power, and then the other little one should be ground. I'll get a wiring diagram, Tracy. Thanks, Meg. I'll try that first. Glad I found you guys. No problem, man. Doc Mojo, thanks for $10 today. By the way, you guys give him a big applause, man. Gave Go Big Garage $10. That's going to help you guys out when I give away a tool. Them buttons have a hard life. Yeah, they do. They do. Momentary toggle would be cool. Yeah. And a momentary toggle, what Clutch and Stick is talking about, when you push it spring loaded, so it don't go on and off. You push it and it cranks, and when you let off, the spring will turn it off. Just like a push button, but a toggle. Good idea, Clutch and Stick. Good job. That's what's nice about this live, I think. If we can help more people like that, the word will get out and people will go, man, you gotta go check out this thing, man. There are people over there helping me fix my car. So if you're in the live, you've never been here before, hey, tonight, everybody show up at 7. I'll be there tonight as long as I don't start feeling. I didn't feel good yesterday, and I don't get sick. I just didn't feel good. And so anyway, tonight at 7 West Coast time, we're gonna do the live. We're gonna do trivia questions, and after the questions, whoever gets the questions right, we're gonna spin for a snap-on wrench. So anyway, if you're here and you've never commented before, just put down in the comments hello or something, so we can get to know who you are, and then we know when you show up, because we don't know who's here until you make a comment. So sometimes we'll have 20 people here and no one ever makes a comment, so we don't really know, what their screen name is. I try to keep track of who's been here before, and we're getting our usuals that come and go. So anyway. Hey guys, I'm going to have to call it a day. I got stuff to get done. I want to get that truck done today. But if you would, before you go, if you've never been here before, from now is the live. So it's 11 here now. So 8 hours till the live. 8 hours till the live for the tool tonight. If you guys would, before you go, I know all you guys have been here before, have done it, but for those that haven't been here before, you help support the channel when you go to the links where it says more and click on one of those. Even if you don't buy it, it helps our channel. And these, if you're looking into getting some lighting, go check these out, man. I'm going to buy some myself. They're $26 for a pair. And they're really good quality LEDs. I wouldn't be pushing them if I didn't think they were good quality. Anyway, I'm going to go. You guys have a good day. Hang in there. Have a good time. We'll see you tonight, hopefully. Later.